Hello everybody and welcome to another video, and today we're going to be taking a look at a band called White Crone. Now, the track we're going to be looking at is actually the title track of a debut album which was actually released yesterday. I was actually contacted by a company on behalf of the band asking if I'd have a look at the album, so I will be writing a review of this album when it in a short time, but today we're going to be looking at a track called The Poisoner. Now, a little information about White Crone. It is a, and this is interesting, it is a traditional metal / doom / blues project by blues artist Lisa Mann, a very successful blues artist from what I understand. They've won awards and stuff for their music. Now, Lisa performs vocals, guitars, and bass on all of the music. From what I understand, she's predominantly a bass player. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure I read that somewhere. Now, it's an unusual combination here. Traditional metal / doom / blues. Very unusual combination. And it says here that the album is a result of her dream to make a metal record that brings her craft back to her teen roots of classical metal and doom. These blues influences, her experience in the music industry, combined with the great presentation and contributions of many talented musical guests, makes for a high-quality sound that can easily compete with major releases. She is strongly influenced by bands like Merciful Fate, Judas Priest, and Iron Maiden. And that's what I've got. So, traditional metal and doom and blues inspired by Merciful Fate, Judas Priest, and Iron Maiden. This could be very, very interesting. Now, as I said, we're looking at the title track, The Poisoner, which is also the name of the album, which came out yesterday. I have some lyrics up here, and so we'll see what we've got there. So we'll jump to the track now and see what happens. So we've got The Poisoner by White Crone. Let's have a look, see what we've got. Well, there we go. The Poisoner by White Crone. Quite interesting. Very. Well, it's quite catchy. I mean, the track opened with that really lovely sounding bass line, and anybody who watches these videos knows I do love a nice sound of a bass. Interesting. Now, obviously, you can tell, you can hear the classical metal influences in there, like Merciful Fate, Judas Priest, and Iron Maiden. You can definitely hear that in the start of the music. The actual start of the music itself kind of reminds me of a mix between the sort of traditional metal, sort of 80s metal era, but it also kind of reminds me of sort of 80s power ballads, bands like Heart and stuff like that, maybe a slightly heavier version of them. But that could just be because of her vocal style, which does actually remind me of a couple of 80s female artists, although none really come to mind right now. So, you know, she's got a very good, very, very strong, very powerful voice, very, very nice. And, you know, the music produced there was phenomenal. They've got a guest drummer in there, Larry London. I'm not entirely sure who that is. I'm going to have to look him up at some point. But, you know, she did the guitars, she did the bass, she did the vocals, you know, very brilliantly done. Very multi-talented woman, very, very impressive. So, yeah, interesting, to say the least. Now, the song itself, being called The Poisoner, the song seems to be about, shockingly, a poisoner. Possibly it could be a reference to actual death himself, like the embodiment of death himself. It could be. I'm not sure. Now, the lyrics go. No sanctuary found on any hallowed ground. Won't even make a sound. The poisoner. His trace is ever clean. He knows just where you've been. Ever remains unseen. The poisoner. Death has no face, death bears no name. Now, the opening lines of that make me think that it's talking about the personification of death in general, because it says, no sanctuary found on any hallowed ground, won't even make a sound. Every trace is clean, he knows just where you've been, ever remains unseen. So it's like, there's no escaping death. He knows, you know, it will find you no matter where you are. You could be in like a church, you could be at home, you could be hiding somewhere or other, but death will always find you no matter where you are. He's ever clean, knows just where you've been, and ever remains unseen. You know, death never really leaves a trace that he's been there. The only thing left behind is the dead person. And, you know, he knows just where you've been and ever remains unseen. So, you know, again, he'll find you wherever you are. And, you know, no one sees it coming. But it's there. And then there's that line, death has no face, death bears no name. You know, he's a nameless thing. He's only referred to as death. And in the video, it was a black cloaked figure, which is the common image used to depict death himself. Carried on. He may be lurking near, footsteps you'll never hear. Who knows when he'll appear? The poisoner. No gate or castle wall can shield from his cabal. He's creeping through your halls, the poisoner. Death has no face, death bears no name. Now he has made his kill, his duty is fulfilled. No drop of blood was spilled, the poisoner. Silent he slips on by, beneath the blackened sky, unseen by any eye, the poisoner. Death has no face, death bears no name. And that's it. So, you know, it just carries on there. You know, he may be lurking near, footsteps you'll never hear. Who knows when he'll appear? So it's like death can strike at any minute. You know, the spectre of death could be permanent, always lurking behind you. You know, he could be walking 2 steps behind you, but you'll never know. Because, you know, you can't see him. You know, there's no physical manifestation of him that you can actually see. It says, no gate or castle wall can shield from his cabal. He's creeping through your halls. So it's like, again, like I said at the beginning, you know, no matter where you are, he will find you. Nothing can protect you from it. You know, you can lock yourself into the most secure, like, structure known to mankind, and it will still find a way to get to you. And then at the bottom there it says, now he has made his kill, his duty is fulfilled. No drop of blood was spilled. silently he slips on by beneath the blackened sky, unseen by any eye. So, you know, he's successfully claimed his soul. He's made the final blow, ended whomever's life. You know, he's done this with no unnecessary action. You know, he's not left any mess to be cleared up. You know, this person has just passed on, and you know, at that point, death is no longer needed. So he just disappears off into the shadows, not seen by anyone. So, you know, interesting. I'm not sure whether the actual album itself is a concept album. I'm not sure. There's 12 tracks on the album, and like I said, I've got to be writing a review on that coming soon. But yeah, interesting. I didn't really hear or see any real influence of doom in there, but like I said, it's a 12-track album, so who knows what could come later. And I mean, the subject matter isn't exactly upbeat, but it seems to be pretty typical of those 80s metal bands. So, you know, it's interesting. And very, very well performed. I mean, like I said before, she's obviously a very, very talented musician. You know, I'm always jealous of people who can play multiple instruments, just because I can't play a single one. You know, but interesting. But at this present moment, I can't think of much else to say on that, so I'll leave that as it is. If anybody would like to suggest a track for me to react to, then please do so by all means. You can drop a comment in the comment section below, or message me on my Facebook or my Instagram, or you can even message me through my Patreon, where you could also help to support this channel and help me create future content, maybe even improve the quality of future content. And there is an option in Patreon where you can get your suggestion jumped to the front of the queue, should you so desire. There are a couple of provisos on that, however, to be fair to other people who suggest tracks through regular means. If you do suggest a track through regular means, such as Facebook, Instagram, or comments below the video, do know it might take me a while to get around to your suggestions, since I get suggested so many new tracks every single day. My list grows faster than I can record the videos. But I do write down all suggestions I get, so it'll get done eventually. It just might take me a while to get around to it, I'm afraid. Also, Metalhead Reacts is a proud supporter of the Sophie Lancaster Foundation, British-based charity whose main goal is to put an end to hate crimes, mainly those involving people of the alternative culture, and it's something I believe in very strongly, something I think is very, very important and needs to have more done about it. It needs to be spoken about a lot more than it does, because every single day all around the world, hundreds of people, maybe thousands, maybe even millions of people around the world every single day are getting violently attacked just purely because they listen to alternative music. You know, people are getting violently, physically and verbally assaulted, brutalized, you know, sometimes hospitalized, bones broken, invasive injuries, excuse me, just because of their taste in music, you know. And we never hear a single thing about it. Nothing ever gets done about it because no one seems to care about it. You know, every day we hear about all these other hate crimes, such as sexism, racism, homophobia, transphobia, ableism. You know, we hear about all these sorts of things every single day, from the most heinous and violent crime where someone's being murdered because of the colour of their skin or because of their sexual preference or identity, down to the most pathetic of these crimes where an entitled woman has called the police because a family of colour are having a picnic in a public area. You know, we hear every point of the spectrum of these hate crimes, but we're never hearing anything about these people getting violently attacked because they listen to alternative music. But the thing is, it happens every day. Now, I've had people argue that it's not a hate crime, but it is. It is the very definition of a hate crime. A hate crime is when someone attacks someone else because they hate something about that person. If they pick a specific trait about that person and attack them just purely based off that one thing, whether it be the colour of their skin, their sexual preference, their sexual identity, or their taste in music, if they are attacking you for that one specific reason, it is a hate crime, because they hate that one thing about you and attack you for it. You know, it is a hate crime. Whether you want to accept that or not, it is a hate crime. But the thing is, these people getting attacked because they listen to alternative music it's just widely ignored, and that needs to change because people are getting severely hurt. The last time this was even spoken about was about 12 years ago when Sophie Lancaster and Rob Maltby were violently and brutally attacked by a group of 5 or 6 people. They were beaten, punched, kicked, stamped on. They had their heads stamped on, for crying out loud. Rob Maltby was unconscious and Sophie Lancaster was like trying to protect him because they were still beating on him whilst he was unconscious. And they stamped on their heads, for crying out loud. And they ended up both ending up in a coma. Now, Rob Maltby, he did thankfully survive. He came out of a coma after about a week or so, but Sophie Lancaster was in a coma for 13 days before she succumbed to her injuries. She died as a result of being so brutally assaulted by a group of ignorant morons. She was murdered. And this was 12 years ago. This was the last time anything was widely said about it. And that's not good enough, because I guarantee you, in the 12 years since that happened, hundreds if not thousands of people from the alternative community have been attacked in similar ways, and we've not heard a goddamn thing about it. And the main reason for that is because nobody died. And that is just absolutely disgusting. It shouldn't take someone's death for this to be talked about. It shouldn't take the brutal murder of someone because of their tasty music for this subject to get any to get any publicity. This happens every single day. People are getting violently hurt, and it's just getting widely ignored, and as such the people that are committing these crimes are getting away with it. They're still essentially getting away with it. One of the group of people that murdered Sophie Lancaster has had his prison sentence reduced twice. He was given life imprisonment. It was then reduced to 15.5 years. It was then reduced to 14.5 years. And now he's eligible for parole this month. And that is just sickening. 12 years in prison for murdering someone in cold blood for no reason is unacceptable. But this is what happens because people just don't care. Just because this person listens to heavy metal doesn't mean they don't deserve justice. This girl was murdered. And this lad, 12 years in prison because he's improved his behaviour. I don't give a crap how good his behaviour is. He murdered someone. He was sentenced to life. A life sentence should mean life. He took her life away from her. She's never going to get to grow up, have kids, whatever. She's not going to have a life anymore. How is it fair that he gets to live his life as a free man after murdering her and only spending 12 years in prison? It is unacceptable. It is disgusting. But this is the sort of thing we have to deal with. And this needs to change. These people need to face justice. They need to know that there are penalties for these crimes. They can't keep getting away with this stuff. And this is what the Sophie Lancaster Foundation is all about. They want to bring more attention to the fact that this is happening and stop it from ever happening again. They don't want to see another family go through what they went through when they had to watch their daughter slowly die over the course of 2 weeks. They want to stop what happened to Sophie ever happening again. It should never have happened in the first place. And it's unacceptable that this isn't getting the recognition it deserves. Because, people are losing their lives. People are getting hospitalised just because they're tasting music, and that is pathetic. It is unbelievably stupid. But it happens, and it needs to stop. So if you'd like to find out more about the Sophie Lancaster Foundation, there is a link to their website in the description below. You can go over there, find out what they're working on at the moment, find out what their goal is, because they can explain it a lot better than I can. And if you can help them out in any way, obviously don't feel obligated to do so, but if you can help them out in any small way, whether it's a small donation through their website or even something like one of these Sophie wristbands from their web store, the smallest amount can make the biggest difference. And the sooner we can get more people talking about this, the sooner we can get more recognition of the fact that this is happening, the sooner we can help to stamp out prejudice, hatred, and intolerance everywhere. But I'm going to leave that as it is for the time being. Thank you all very, very much for watching, and I'll see you again soon. Bye-bye.